Hello, and welcome to the Werewolf by Night bonus show. This is our second episode, and this is the first one that does not come as a free sample. So thank you, Patreons, for supporting us, and we hope you appreciate it. Anything that you'd like to hear us review or any kind of content you'd like to hear on the show, let us know, because this is something that is specifically for you, literally. So we're going to be starting off, like we said, talking about some other comics we're reading, some werewolf multimedia, some music and stuff like that. And give us some feedback on the Patreon page and let us know what you think of it. All right, Jacob. This is paid content here.
That's right. What do you want to jump into? Do you want to talk about the movie we watched?
Yes, let's talk about the movie we watched. So we watched Late Phases from 2014, directed by Adrian Garcia Bogliano. And I think he's a Mexican director.
Mm-hmm.
And the screenplay was written by Eric Stolz. And it stars Nick D'Amici. Do you know Nick D'Amici?
He looked kind of familiar. I looked up his thing. I liked that one of the few things it said on like his Wikipedia page was that his mentor was Michael Moriarty.
Yes. I made a note of that. I was like, I gotta tell Jacob.
How awesome is that?
So Jacob and I love Michael Moriarty because he was a guy that worked with, what was that director's name?
Cohen?
Yeah, Larry Cohen.
Larry Cohen, yeah.
And so he was in Q, the Winged Serpent, and he was in The Stuff. He was in Return to Salem's Lot, but he's a very idiosyncratic, cool, like classically trained actor. Seemed like he was a handful as a person, and he just exudes like this, like he's magnetic, like just something about him when he's on screen. I cannot look away from him. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so Nick D'Amici has not done a ton of work, but for me, I think most people will know him from starring in and co-writing Stakeland. Have you seen that?
I haven't.
So there's two of them. And he stars in that one, and it's very cool. I highly recommend it. I think it was on Netflix for several years, so it kind of got a slow audience building. But it's much like I Am Legend in the sense that it's a zombie film, but the zombies are actually vampires.
Okay,
but
cool.
So it's like, 30 Days of Night, but zombies scale the entire world essentially. It has Kelly McGillis or whatever the girl is, from the lady from Top Gun is in it.
Okay.
But yeah, really cool movie. And I like this actor. He reminds me a bit of like Charles Bronson meets like, he's got this kind of stoic, tough exterior like Charles Bronson does. That I thought was really charming and is perfect for this role.
Yeah, it really is perfect for this role. So he's a Vietnam vet who's joined a retirement community next to the woods. And it starts out with his son, taking him to move into this new house that's in this kind of isolated retirement community. And his neighbor, I recognized one of his neighbors, who was Tina Louise.
Oh, right, from Gilligan's Island.
Yeah, Ginger from Gilligan's Island. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. So his son is played by Ethan Embry, which I think a lot of people know from, like, was he in Scream?
Yeah,
it's probably his biggest role. So Nick D'Amici plays this veteran, like you said, who received eye trauma in Vietnam, and came home and slowly lost his vision over a few years, and because he basically was too ashamed or too scared or whatever to address the issue, and went blind, and kind of left his family behind because he vision. And this is a really solid metaphor for it's actually a family film about like a father-son relationship at its core.
Yes,
but it's also a super gory, badass werewolf movie at the same time. So yeah, he has moved into a new house, and I would think that as a blind person, moving in a new house would be sheer terror, because you have no orientation, you have no anchor, no rooting into that world. And he moves in with his guide dog Shadow, a German Shepherd, and literally the first night he's there, a werewolf attack happens, his neighbor is killed, and his dog dies defending him. We won't talk about anything in the last act, I would say, or the big reveals of anything. We'll let it be a mystery kind of, but it's kind of a heartbreaking indie film at its core, I think. I guess, first of all, what did you think of it?
I liked it actually. Like it's not yeah, I would say it's an indie film. It definitely had a budget. I mean, it's a nice looking film. I know that I think that the majority of the effects would be practical.
Mhm.
I think there's probably a mix somewhere in there, but
I saw
so
some
the
digital blood
yeah,
a
I saw
couple
some digital
times.
blood and maybe some of the fur, maybe some of the hair, I thought a little bit, but for the most part, it's practical effects. And they really stress that, I think, in the way that it's shot, the way that you see the transformation stuff. And even though a werewolf attack, yeah, it happens real early on in the film, you don't see you don't see the full werewolf at first. So you kind of just see it kind of obscured, and it's a good choice. It looks really good. Yeah, I think that if it was anybody else, I think Nick D'Amici, his performance helped sell the entire movie for me.
Entirely.
Yeah, I think in someone else's hands as an actor, I may not have been as engaged, but I have to say, and I'm sure you were the same way, what really engaged me was seeing Lance Guest.
Who is Lance Guest?
Lance Guest was Alex Rogan in The Last Starfighter.
Okay.
The Last Starfighter, like the greatest movie ever made.
I haven't seen that since like the theaters.
The Kodan Armada. Oh, it's so
Who
good.
was he in this film?
He was the assistant to the preacher.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, he's
the guy that drove the shuttle to the church.
Yes, the guy that drove the shuttle. And he yeah, I mean his biggest thing I think has got to be The Last Starfighter. But yeah, I have a true love for that film. So that made me very excited.
Okay. And there's Tom Noonan.
Yeah, Tom Noonan, who's showed up in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, I think he's most famous for playing Hannibal Lecter in Manhunter,
Mm-hmm.
the first of those films adapted from the novels.
Yeah,
I've never seen. I've never seen that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have either. Actually, now that you say that, I know he's from it, but yeah, I know we should probably let's do that together at some point.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I believe that's Michael Mann, and I'm not the biggest Michael Mann fan by any stretch, but a lot of people I trust love Manhunter. So
yeah, like everyone loves Manhunter. Like, yeah, I'm embarrassed that I haven't seen it at this point.
And I've seen Silence of the Lambs a dozen times.
Yeah.
So, and I watched the Hannibal TV show. I should probably watch it.
Yeah, it's the last thing you have to check off.
But I agree with you. Nick D'Amici's turn in the star here as the gruff, sometimes comically gruff veteran. He's so sorry. Hi. You look pretty.
Me?
Yeah. Did you wear makeup?
No.
Oh, you just look hot.
What an asshole.
Hey, Jacob.
Hi, Renee.
He says hi, Renee.
Sorry. Bye, guys.
No worries.
So sorry.
Hey, who did we say? Remember when we were watching Late Phases and you said, "Oh, babe, I'm talking to you."
Oh, yes.
Nick D'Amici looks like Charles Bronson crossed with who was the other actor?
Oh shit. Charles Bronson and the guy from.
Oh, that's pronounced the man from Horse, not the guy from.
Son of a bitch. Charles Bronson and.
Oh, God. It's okay. I just.
Why'd you put her on the spot?
Like Paul Newman.
Paul Newman and Charles Bronson's love child. I thought Nick D'Amici looked like that. Okay,
that was actually worth waiting for. That's a pretty good description. Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm a complete sucker for any type of character like that is a gruff, broken, unapproachable guy who just wants to be left alone. I always fold those characters into my breast and love them. So so I've seen, this was the second time I've seen this.
Oh, wow.
I saw it when it was newish. I saw it like in 2015 or something on Netflix, and I liked it. This time around, I fucking loved it. And I
did too. Like, I thought it was really good
by how good it is. Like,
yeah,
people talk shit about it. Like some people that I kind of respect as horror film fans. I was asking what they'd seen. And they said, "Oh, but don't watch Late Phases." And I was like, "I just watched it and I kind of liked it." I'm like, "Oh, really?" And I kind of have read that online, and I was looking on the Wikipedia page, and it said reviews were mixed, and there was some negative stuff. But I wanted to read this one from the review from Bloody Disgusting, which is a blog that, I mean, any blog is made up of a bunch of different reviewers, but I typically tend to agree with them. But it said Patrick Cooper of Bloody Disgusting gave the film 5 skulls out of 5, stating that the film is a tale of hardcore werewolf violence, a tangible father-son relationship, redemption, and a whole lot of heart. It's funny, brash, and exciting, but knows when to pull back and let the emotions sink in. Simply put, it's a masterpiece of the werewolf genre because of what it accomplishes on top of the scares, which is deliver a truly emotional, heartfelt story of a father and son. I think that's the review I agree with the most.
Yeah, some of the reviews I read were also saying that it kind of lags. It's a little boring in the middle, and I kind of liked that. Like, it's really heavy werewolf action in the beginning and in the end. In the middle is all just character building, and it's all dynamics. It's father-son stuff. It's a guy dealing with his disability. It's really cool shit.
I think the people who think the middle lagged don't like the same type of movies I do.
I agree.
It did all of its work. I mean, I love the werewolf action in the first and third act, but the middle act to me was the entire heart of the film.
Yeah.
I love that I recommend you watch this again in a few years. I think you're going to like it even more. His dog gets killed that first night along with his neighbor, and he's covering his dog up or whatever, and his son and daughter-in-law come out and check up on him, and they're concerned the police are there. And someone mentions the full moon, and you see this kind of expression. He just very small movement where he kind of turns his head and asks a question, and you realize this fucker figured this out just then.
Yeah,
right
away.
He immediately, you get to see like this kind of like not a TCB montage, but like he starts pacing off his room, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's the lamp. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he starts learning shit, and he has a plan. He has 30 days. Like, this dude knew from the get-go. We don't know why. We don't know why he would believe this. He is a no-nonsense Vietnam vet who's severely damaged person. But he had a plan. And this entire film, I realized towards the end, watching it with Renee, was her first time. I was like, oh shit, this whole thing's a dog revenge movie. It's like John Wick. He just wants to kill this thing because it killed his dog.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's really true.
Yeah. So this was free, like I said, on Netflix for a while. Right now, it's free on Tubi.
That's where I watched it. Yeah, it's free with ads on Tubi.
And I don't know. I have a free Peacock trial, so I don't know if it's free or not. But on Peacock, we watched like 5 minutes of ads, and then there were no commercials for the whole film. I don't know if that's cool. I don't know if that's for everybody or not. But I recommend it. Also, it was one of the producers was Larry Fessenden, who is a filmmaker that I fucking love. Every goddamn thing he's done is worth watching. He co-produced this. His movie production company is called Glass Eye Pix, and he was also in it. He played the guy that sells tombstones at the cemetery, and he was in Broken Flowers. He's been in tons of indie stuff, but he's just a maverick filmmaker. He's one of those dudes. You give him $5,000, he will make an award-winning film. Might just be a Dinner with Andre thing. It might be you don't know what he's going to turn in, but he's a maverick, super creative guy that can just make magic out of nothing, and he's a good actor too. So I love Larry Fessenden. So. 2 claws up from Matt Howell for Late Phases.
Yeah, agreed. I totally loved it. And we got Bobby Briggs as an armorer.
Oh yeah, Dana Ashbrook.
Dana Ashbrook shows up.
Right. Which I completely forgot.
Yeah, no, I thought, it was awesome.
Being a Twin Peaks geek, I saw his name and I just screamed it because that's what happens whenever I see a Twin Peaks person that's not, in Twin Peaks. Dana Ashbrook! Yeah. And he was good.
Totally agree. Yeah, he was great. The movie was great. I highly recommend it.
Very cool. Okay. So I go first?
Yeah, why don't you go first?
Okay. So I have been fallen in love with Barbaric from Vault Comics. I don't know how I found it. It was on the Twitter thing. I think somebody mentioned that the first trade was coming out or something. I found a lot of cool stuff through like Kickstarter and stuff through just, making a comics algorithm. But this was written by Michael Morisi, and it was drawn by Nathan Goodwin, who I believe is also the publisher himself, and with colors by Addison Duke inks by Addison Duke and colors by Jim Campbell. And this thing, I'm going to throw some art up here in the video version, but the closest I asked you, Jacob, who you thought this might look like. I'm not super good with modern artists, but
Not either.
the one thing I could think of, like when they start drawing demons and undead and some kind of the crazier stuff, reminds me of like Raphael Albuquerque from
okay,
American
yeah.
Vampire.
For sure.
So again, we're sticking some of these pictures up in the feed so you can see this, but I love the premise of this book. The elevator pitch would be if Garth Ennis wrote Conan the Barbarian and Conan was on some type of BPRD Hellboy case. So the premise is there's Owen the Barbarian, who is a irredeemable barbarian who's had a life of killing and rampaging and whatever, and he gets at death's door. He is accosted by 3 witches who show him hell and all the stuff he has to answer for when he goes, and curse him to be forced to roam the earth with immortality. And he is compelled beyond any kind of will to serve people who are in need. So he has to help people. And his axe, which is named Axe, is actually sentient, and it is bloodthirsty. It gets drunk on blood, and it talks to him, but he's the only one that can hear it. So there's a lot of comedy of like him in a bar getting drunk and the thing saying, "Let's get out of here. I need to get drunk." There's tons of cussing. It is ultra violent, super violent. It's also oddly got a heart behind it though at the same time. So it's really violent, really funny, and kind of endearing in a really weird way. So the first volume is called Murderable Offenses, and I am so fucking stoked to get the second one. The setup for the next volume is so exciting. I'm jacked. Like I'm gonna buy a shirt just based on the first. This trade is a hardcover trade. You can get this through Amazon or anywhere else, and it collects the first 3 issues, which are kind of long issues. But I loved it. Huge fan. So can't recommend this one enough. If violence, filthy cussing, and lots of demons and monsters and Hellboy BPRD types of like antagonists are your thing, you'll love Barbaric.
Oh, it sounds great. No, I'm anxious to read it. Yeah, I guess for my comic recommendation for this week, I had to go with if you're listening to this, you probably have listened to our first season that we did on Werewolf by Night, and Matt and I talked a lot about our love for the Filipino artists of the 70s that came over, did wonderful work for DC and Marvel, the Black and White mags, and that my personal favorite, Alfredo Alcala, and we had kind of lamented on some episodes that there's just no one's done a real like historical piece on a lot of these guys, and they were so influential and so important, but seem to have the least documented about them of any comic artists. Well, it kind of changed because one of my favorite comic history magazines, Alter Ego, did a issue that is a large part of the issue on Alfredo Alcala. And it has multiple interviews. It has 2 interviews, really long ones with both of his sons. Just all this amazing stuff, tons of different art. They actually, one of his sons, it was great, had his original log books for all of the work that Alfredo did on the DC horror books. And so it's just entry after entry of what story it was, how much he got paid, what date it was. It was like, it's a comic historian's dream, like finding one of those and then just like, oh, I can just plug all these credits into GCD and it's so easy. But it was just, it's really, really cool. And I like how both of his sons talked about the weird brushes that he would use, which is basically like a fountain pen with these brushes that were made in China, and he would stick like the brush tip onto the fountain pen and thought it was like this great, invention that he used, but only he could use it because you have to draw so fast because the ink is just squirting out of the thing, and you have to draw so fast or it just becomes a blob on the page. And so literally him or like Kirby are the only ones that could have ever used it. Because anecdotally, and even just from his sons talking as well, it seems like Alcala was one of the fastest artists in comics history, really. Like a guy that's Kirby level or beyond. I know that's sacrilegious to say that, but yeah, I'm a huge fan of Alfredo Alcala, and it was a dream come true to have that issue. I couldn't believe it. I saw it in the previews. It was just like, oh my god, finally. Because the only article that had been about these Filipino artists was from Comic Book Artist 4. It was like the early 2000s. Like, then there was just this, it was a whole issue, but it was about the entire movement. So there wasn't enough, written about all of them. So this was a big deal for me. And that's my big pick this month is it's Alter Ego issue 172.
And that came out
last month.
Oh, last month. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not the documentary that we desperately need.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it is for sure. And it was really lovingly done. Like it's such a, and it's funny because I guess technically, Tomorrow's Publishing has Alter Ego and they have Back Issue, and Alter Ego is mainly Silver Age and Golden Age stuff, and Back Issue is the Bronze Age and later. And though, the majority of Alcala's work was done in the 70s, so that would technically kind of not be the Silver Age anymore. But I thought it was cool. They made, and Roy Thomas talks about his own, dealings with Alfredo and them being neighbors for a time. So I feel like this is Roy Thomas taking something that maybe should have technically been in Back Issue, but he's like, no, I have a connection with this guy. I love this guy. I want my magazine to do the giant feature on him.
Goddamn right.
Damn right.
Cool. Are either of his sons artists?
It didn't seem. One of his sons is an architect,
okay.
And no, it seemed like neither of them were fine artists. Yeah.
When you could make comics,
you could draw funny books.
Cool. Another thing I've been enjoying lately is IDW's first collection of Secret Agent X9 with art by Al Williamson and stories by Archie Goodwin. And this is the first volume that is the daily strips from 67 to 69. I was at the Rose City Comic Con, like 10 years ago, and I went by the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund table, and it was like a it was something crazy, like 2 books for $20 or something like that. Anything you wanted, just piles of just random shit. So I got this and Eddie Campbell's The Years Have Pants, which was okay. It was, but it's notebooks and just kind of him being autobiographical, and it's a neat little kind of whimsical look into his life and just little stuff he does on the side. This, however, is fucking amazing because Al Williamson is one of my favorite artists. He grew up loving the work of Alex Raymond and Flash Gordon and stuff like that. He primarily worked in adventure type of books. So he worked for EC, but he wasn't a fan of horror. So he chose to work in the sci-fi stuff or the more adventure-y kind of things, war stuff. He didn't care for that. He did work for Skywald for a while, or not Skywald. Warren for a bit. But he took over this book, which was originally Dashiell Hammett and I don't remember who the original artist was. Might have even been Alex Raymond, the original Secret Agent X9 stuff.
I think it was actually.
Yeah, I'm thinking now that I'm talking through, I think it was him. But I'll lovingly throw in a couple pages of the daily strips. I have a hard time getting super into daily strips just because of the rhythm. But
it has to be the right strip and the right collection.
Yeah, but his Al Williamson's figure drawing, his inks, and his way he draws people, and everything's gorgeous. I think he's probably tied with like I don't know, like Wally Wood probably is like my other favorite person who does like black and white adventure stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty. This started off in the 30s, so it was stuffy stuff, but by this time they got Archie Goodwin and him in there to kind of refresh it. They even named him Jimmy Corrigan or something like that, or Phil Corrigan. I don't know why. Actually, Al Williamson was pissed off. He's like, no, he's X9. Like,
Yeah.
why would you name the secret agent that has no identity? But so they pretty much shed that as soon as possible. But yeah, it's super fun. It's like, some sexy Russian scientist defecting from Russia and coming to the US and helping us build something to stop some secret death bomb. And then, these thugs coming over and they have like, Dick Tracy type names. And it's freaking gorgeous. And it's just, just
That's
pull
cool.
up, read 2 pages and put the bookmark in. It has a fabric bookmark in it, and just read 2 weeks worth and put it away. And it's just super fun and absolutely gorgeous to look at. The guy's like one of my favorite inkers of all time. So I can't believe I got that for $20.
Yeah, that's great.
Unfortunately, there's like 9 volumes of it. They did the book until 82, 80,
boy.
85. So there's a lot of it. But
yeah,
but I'm probably going to get like maybe 2 and 3 and call it good after that.
That's probably enough. But cool. No, that sounds right up my alley.
So you have a sound symposium?
Yeah. I didn't bring the records, but that's okay. So there's this I think, Matt, you and I both kind of have a love for 60s like instrumental kind of cheesy almost muzak or like elevator versions of songs we like and 60s songs.
Very much.
Like the Ray Conniff Singers or Enoch Light is another one of that I love. And we love that shit. There's something really comforting about it to me. It's like if my mental health is kind of declining, it's like all I want to listen to are syrupy, weird elevator versions of like Monkees songs. And so but so there's this band I found. None of their stuff is streaming anywhere. Like I think it's up on YouTube, but it's a group called the Sound Symposium, which is basically just this one guy named Paul Harris who arranges these versions of these songs. So the first 2 records that the Sound Symposium put out is Paul Simon interpreted and then Bob Dylan interpreted. And so the Paul Simon record is, it was put out in 68. So it's all Simon and Garfunkel stuff. And it's so good. This isn't Ray Conniff. Like this is actually really, really well done. There's no voices. It's all instrumental. And for some reason, the Paul Simon interpreted one is very sitar heavy. And it's such a weird stylistic choice, but it makes it one of my favorite records to listen to. I recently got the Dylan one, which is also really, really good. That came out in 69. But the Paul Simon interpreted is highly recommended to me. You can pick up these records on Discogs for like $2. Like no one knows about them or likes them. Very little information about it exists online. Like I say, they're not streaming anywhere. I think you can find the individual tracks on YouTube, but I would highly recommend trying to look for these records if you like that kind of 60s weird, cheesy, but not like 1001 Strings or not like,
Right.
It's another level of hip in a very unhip genre.
Right. I mean, we're both huge fans of Harper's Bazaar.
Yes, exactly.
And they're very square in a super hip fucking cool way.
Yeah, exactly. It's a Van Dyke Parks kind of way almost, to where you can be really cheesy because you're just the hippest guy on earth.
And so that was Paul Harris, is that what you said?
Yeah, his name is Paul Harris, and there's hardly any information online about him or his group. These records were put out by Dot Records, which is a great, kind of cut out label a little bit. Well, they had, they reissued the Wipeouts. I think Surfari, like the 45 of Surfari, I think I have is on Dot. Dot was one of those, kind of bargain basement labels that would sometimes put out records by people you would know, but a lot of time it'd be like, yeah, sound-alikes or
Yeah.
novelty songs.
They were
And
not a prestige outfit.
no, they were not. But yeah, I love it. My wife and I love that record. And actually in DJ sets that I've played around town over the last, 10 or 15 years, I've had this record for about 4 or 5 years now. And every time I play a song off of it, someone always comes up and it's just like, what is this? And that's a mark of a good record to me. If people actually get up from their seat and come over and just be like, what the fuck are you playing? And I'm always like, just wait, let me show you.
God, you're reminding me that there was back in the Charity blog days when people were just ripping stuff that was not available. I downloaded something that was like, God, it's killing me now. I can picture the cover. I can't remember the dude's name, but it was all very unconventional. Lots of, God damn it. I'm sharing this because I'm realizing I have no way to find this. I have no pieces of information except a photo in my mind of what the cover looks like. It's a beach with a sunset and footprints.
That's not how the internet works. Not yet, at least. It will, but no, we're not there yet.
I can't say that into my Shazam.
No.
God damn it. Okay. Anyway, it was really cool, and you would have fucking loved it. I'd never heard of it. It was, even by the blog post, it was like, I'd never heard of this. This was crazy. I just ran across this, probably a small press kind of vanity thing, and it was super charming. And God damn it. Okay.
We'll find it.
Yep. It had like a 10-minute version of a Beatles song on it. I'll find it somehow through Discogs and sorting and filters. Oh boy. All right. So we're out of time.
Oh shit. We have a timer on this, you see?
Yeah, we're trying to keep this nice and tight. I want to come back with, big questions, philosophical stuff. Like, Jacob, what happens when you die?
Yeah.
Or, hot takes. I gave you my hot take on the Scream franchise before we saw Spider-Man the other week.
You did.
I want to stick some of those in, but we had actual stuff to talk about this time.
Yeah, no, we're gonna mix up this format. It's not just gonna be us blathering on about obscure shit that we like every week. We're gonna really try and mix it up, but we would love input. We would love your ideas on what you would like to hear, what you would not like to hear. If we're doing something that you're just like, I'm fucking tired of this, then let us know.
I can see you and I going down obscure 60s rabbit holes with music and people being like, this is not what I signed up for. And
exactly.
we're not fragile flowers. You can tell us I don't give a shit about your weirdo elevator music, and we'll be like, no problem. Honestly.
It's funny though, we've talked about this before, to where someone will be like, oh, you and Matt do a podcast, so it's like a music podcast, right? And we're like, no, not really. No. Yeah, it's a comic podcast. And then they're always like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
because we are known as record nerds and music geeks and obsessives, and yeah,
I think people associate probably both of us individually and collectively as music guys first and probably movie guys second. And so I think comics was kind of a for most people.
I know it threw people for a loop a little bit, but
yeah. But I've had people say, oh, I checked out your show. And I was like, oh, cool. And like, I had no idea what you guys were talking about. It was fun. Like, you guys are fun to listen to. It's like, that's something.
Well, it's better. Most of my close friends, outside of you could be my best friend, and most of my close friends who have listened to this show actively dislike it.
Oh, so, really?
Or just like, why, one good friend of mine, gal I've known here a long time, always come to a lot of my record shows and a lot of my DJ gigs. We know her and her mother very, very well. And I was just like, when we started this, she'd listened to a couple episodes, and I was just like, oh, what'd you think? And she's like, why did you make me listen to this?
Wow.
Like, I was just like, well, it's not for everybody.
Clearly.
If you don't want to hear guys going panel by panel on a weird 70s comic, then it's probably not for you.
Yeah. So to wrap up, we kind of want to go as far as, I think the only constant will be Werewolf Multimedia.
Yes. I think aside from that, it'll be a rotating cast of stuff.
Whatever we're excited about or angry about, maybe. I don't know. But I don't know. I kind of want to go new to old with a some people don't like watching those Poverty Row movies where you can hear
I know.
the tape over the dialogue, and some people don't like the new movies as much. So I'm trying to kind of shake it up. So if you guys have suggestions for what to watch next, go on to Patreon and start a thread. And I think you can start threads on there and just say, hey, why don't you guys? I know you can comment on. Our friend Tim Tucker said, watch Dog Soldiers, and I have a conversation going on there. And so if you have something you want us to watch next, by all means, let us know. And thanks again for the support, guys. We'll be back next week. And for the bonus show, we don't have an outro. So I'm Matt Howell.
No, I'm Jacob Balcom, and we're going to come up with a better outro.
I had one last week, right? And that's the bonus show.
Yeah, we were going to workshop that, though, remember?
We didn't know that yeah is new.
Okay, yeah, the yeah is new.
Okay. All right. Talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
I think that couldn't have gone better.
Oh, that was good.